All right, so today we're digging into the oversight hearing involving Hillary Clinton, her sworn deposition about Jeffrey Epstein. What do we actually know about it? We're going to be touching on Bill Clinton at a later date. We'll be breaking his entire saga down, the relationship between Bill and Jeffrey. So stay tuned for that one. That's going to be a pretty good episode for you guys to watch. We're going to be touching Jeffrey Epstein's cases quite a bit here until we get to the bottom of the truth, because we all want accountability. But before we go further, if you care about the truth more than your own party line, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, like and share these episodes, because we do not protect power here at Real Talk. We start questioning it. Let's get into this, guys.
We were built to our guiding hands. We will build it by guiding hands. We will build crafts and bide my.
All right, guys, stay with me with this one because this is very spicy. And listen, we're touching on the Clintons. So I'll be very clear. I want to live. I want to live. We're touching the Clintons right now.
Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could, based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
I don't understand why she's being very cautious. Like, I do, but then I don't. You know what I'm saying? Because the evidence is there. Epstein has visited the White House multiple times in 1990. He attended at least one donor event in 1993, where she was the co-host, by the way. But now you fast forward to today, you know what I'm saying, this past week, under oath, she says, I have no recollection of ever meeting him, and denied any connection. Okay. Is that contradiction? Or is that just legally careful language to ensure she's not perjuring herself? See, there's a bigger thing at play here, and bear with me real second. We go off rails just a little bit. What if the truth isn't about party lines? What if this is all about proximity? What if the real question isn't did she lie, but who knew what and when? Because we all know that Jeffrey Epstein did not operate in the shadows. We talked about this in the previous episode, how he's just a puppet. There's somebody at the top tier. He's a recruiter. And I may be digging deep into that part in a different episode because I want to break that down of who's who. Because I think the client list is a lot bigger than just Jeffrey Epstein. So keep a lookout. There'll be a playlist dedicated to strictly Jeffrey Epstein saga. But he operated around a lot of powerful people. We're talking about presidents, billionaires, these donors, academia, celebrities. So here's the question that nobody can dodge this. What if, what I'm saying, if you were in a room, right, with Jeffrey Epstein, what did you see, Mrs. Clinton? What did you know? Those are legitimate questions, not just for her, Trump, and everybody. You have to understand the facts when in regards to her and her husband, okay? Especially Bill Clinton. There's a whole bunch of questions surrounding him. Epstein visited the White House during their presidency. Maxwell and him attended a donor reception in 1993. Those are facts. They're out there, verified. And at that time, she was the co-host. But we must understand that being in the same room or a ballroom does not equal actually meeting the guy. These crowded donor receptions are not private dinners, not one-on-ones. There are hundreds of people. You're shaking hands, taking photos. These social galas, 10-second conversation here, 10-second conversation there. I used to work at the Fort Schuyler Club, and trust me, I dealt with these type of events. You know what I'm saying? With these high, powerful people meeting. Because you're in the same room doesn't mean you really know the person personally. But Bill Clinton does. There's a clear, evident relationship between those two. But that distinction matters. Because in her deposition, she did not say, I never met him. She just said, I have no recollection. And legally, that wording matters. So she was definitely coached by her lawyer on what to say it, how to address all of this. Because there might be something deeper that we are not looking into when it comes to the Clintons. As I said, I got a few episodes I'm going to be working on when it comes to the Epstein thing. because I really got a bad feeling that the person at the top of that food chain is a very evil, sadistic person, obviously. But let's just say that people have disappeared for smaller things. But the perjury requires knowingly making a false statement about material fact. See, that's the legality behind it. So the legal question isn't is it suspicious? The legal question really is, can we prove that she knowingly lied in front of Congress? And based upon all the public available evidence, so this verified evidence we found, we really can't tell right now if she knowingly lied because of the way she worded her stuff. But many questions have arisen from this. We're going to be asking questions, given that there are photos of Epstein at the Clinton's daughter's wedding.
Can I ask, why was Ghislaine Maxwell invited to the daughter of Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before that.
She came as the plus one, the guest of someone who was invited.
Okay, and these photos that you guys are seeing, and if they are verified, I ran through a multitude of softwares to see if they're AI generated, and so far it's telling me these are not AI generated. So if these eventually become verified photos, and I'll keep up on it, then justice has to happen. Because there's no way that you skipped your daughter's wedding, just being honest. And a wedding's different from the, donor ball, because a wedding's personal. That means friends, family, loved ones. They're all there. And that's important because accountability must be grounded in evidence, not just the vibe. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like the Clintons, you don't like the Clintons. I don't like the Clintons. But I'm going to base everything I'm talking about off from evidence. So as I dug into these photos that I showed you guys, I can't verify if these are AI. You do with what you want with that. Now let's press a little bit deeper real quick because this is where credibility enters. It is believable that someone in her position would not remember encountering a donor that would later become one of the most notorious traffickers in human history. That is not an automatic. Listen, this is not automatically criminal. I'm not saying meeting this guy makes you a criminal, but it definitely brings up a credibility question, right? Even with President Trump, you know what I'm saying? But with Bill Clinton, we have a lot of different perspectives with that because there's a lot of photos. And public trust operates differently than criminal law. See, our courts require what? Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The public does not require not one of that. It requires confidence. And those are two different standards. See, this isn't about whether if someone committed a crime. Because at the end of the day, is what I told people about this, we're really probably never going to know, be honest with you. We're probably never going to really know. Because the powerful protects the powerful at the end of the day. This isn't about whether if powerful circles protect themselves at the end of the day through distance or ambiguity. You know what I'm saying? When they say, well, no recollection, that phrase just means they're being legally safe. But does it satisfy us with some moral clarity on what's going on here? And that's the tension with all of this. Now, if we widen this lens just real quick, a little, snippet about her husband, the relationship between Bill and Jeffrey in the early 2000s and within the 90s is a complete separate and widely reported thing. We'll be touching more on this in another episode. There are flights. He's in the flight logs, going to the island, traveling all over with them like 20 plus times. So there's been meetings, okay? Bill Clinton has stated that he did not know about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes at the time. And let me be absolutely clear with all of this. I don't know. Because you're going to the island. You're with this guy a lot. I'm saying 17 times during the White House, during your presidency, and 20 plus times after that. But this really is not a Republican issue. It's not really a Democrat issue. Because when Donald Trump had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, that was well documented. There were social interactions, especially in the early 2000s. There are public photos that exist. There's emails, and there's a lot within there involves Donald Trump. There are public comments that do exist. Trump has said later that he distanced himself from Jeffrey Epstein and banned him from Mar-a-Lago.
He was a fixture in Palm Beach I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. I was not, a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years.
So we have to be very clear. We've seen that to be true. We've seen that to be verified. The one thing we have not verified, there's no public verified information showing that our president has been charged or convicted and anything involved in the Epstein crimes. Same with the Clintons right now, or anybody attached to this. So understand what we're doing here. We are separating the categories. You know what I'm saying? We're not trying to blur them together. Because the second we start blurring everything together, we start losing the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because knowing somebody, doing all these events with each other, doesn't mean you are involved in his crimes. Now, I do question about Bill Clinton. I mean, we know with Prince Andrew, we had a victim come out and say that I believe there was a statement about Bill Clinton in one of the victims. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe I did see something like that. But if anyone, and I mean anybody, knowingly participated in those crimes or facilitated them or enabled child exploitation tied to this sick man, they need to go to prison. Full stop. I do not care. No party shield, no party loyalty, no celebrity immunity. I do not care. Because child exploitation is not political. It's pure evil. Look in the book of John, chapter 3, verse 19 through 20. And this is, you have to understand. And this is the condemnation, that the light come into the world, and the men loved darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil. For anyone that does this evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. See, here's the principle with that scripture. And the way I look at it is this, and Darman says it all the time, that, darkness can shine within the light or something like that. Basically, your darkness will shine within the light at the end of the day. But here's another key principle. If someone has nothing to hide, light is not a threat to it. You will welcome it. But if evil was involved, light becomes exposure. See, these oversight hearings are light. I even think Donald Trump should be depositioned. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I think he should be depositioned. I think everybody should speak under oath on what they knew and how much they know. Because Epstein is just a puppet. And these depositions are going to be the light. These subpoenas are going to be the light. And darkness does not survive exposure. So if real evidence emerged that anyone partaked, prosecute them. And that's real justice. And understand, and here's the second little category with all of this. This is where things get more complicated, because people are associated with this guy. You know what I'm saying? And their association, listen, it's bad. It's going to smear them. Epstein wasn't just a criminal. He was radioactive. And history has shown the proximity to him has destroyed people's reputation across political, finance, academia, and media. There are some people who were convicted. Some were investigated. Some were simply photographed in the wrong room. But once your name is attached to his, it's never coming off. I don't care who you are. And listen, one thing I would say this. If Donald Trump, if Mr. President, if you're so innocent in all of this, sue the living heck out of people. Start suing people for defamation. Because you have to prove that this is the defamation. So we have to separate two realities. There's a criminal involvement, which means prison, and social association, which means non-criminal, but will permanently alter your legacy. And they're not the same thing. And when media, activists, and politicians start blurring these lines, they do it recklessly, they're weakening the real accountability, because everyone is treated like a criminal when you're associated with this guy. Then no one is going to be treated serious when real criminals are exposed. So when we expose the truth, nobody's going to be held accountable. See, the real question is not, was she in the ballroom? The real question is this when it comes to Hillary. Did anyone in those powerful circles, including Hillary herself, see red flags and ignore them? And once again, sidetrack just real quick. Bear with me. Donald Trump must have saw red flags, and that's probably why he went to the Palm Beach Police Department and cooperated with the victims' lawyers. There's a whole nother saga I could do about Trump and why he's kicking the can down the road and why this is being used. That could be a whole different episode. I might be digging into that. We'll just see. But Epstein didn't just operate alone. He operated socially. He cultivated, he cultivated legitimacy. He shrouded himself with institutions and influence. But that doesn't mean that everybody around him was complacent to the crimes. But it does raise some very uncomfortable questions in the reality that we are living. That the power protects power until exposure forces separation. Now, back to the oversight hearing. This hearing isn't about gossip. It's about sworn testimony, getting them under oath. Now, if she lied, she's going to be in a lot of trouble. But do understand, at the end of the day, this is of what it is. And we have to understand, if she lied, Proverbs tells us in chapter 12, verse 22, that lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, and they that deal truly are his delight. If anyone, Clinton, Trump, or anyone, knowingly lies under oath, well, that's not just a legal issue, is it? It's a moral one. Because truth stands, deception collapses. And as always, time will always reveal the truth. But when power tries to bury the Epstein scandal, this is no longer about the crimes. It's about the systems and who's allowed into those rooms and who is being trusted. Understand one thing. Who is vouching for whom? And when whispers start circulating, who is staying silent? Because sometimes the truth isn't about party lines. This is really about proximity, and proximity always leaves fingerprints. The only question left is this. When the light gets brighter, who runs from it or who stands in it? Remember that. Subscribe, like, share, comment down below your whole take on this saga, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
When the night was all we saw, we still trusted you, oh God. Under God we stand.